Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live-streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here. Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Julie Tenner, and tonight I am not joined by Bridget Wood. So she's at home celebrating one of her beautiful children's birthdays and having a night off, which is very well deserved. So I have you all to myself, and what I would delight and revel in doing with you and celebrating with you and exploring with you is, of course, all things feminine energy. So what I have done is put together some small clips and snippets from the past 6 days of my Feminine Energy 101 free program. It's called Seen, Felt, Known, which is exactly the purpose of the content, to have you seeing all of the blocks you have to feeling seen, felt, and known, and having all of the tools that you need towards being seen, felt, and known by your lover, by yourself, by the world, however that applies to you in being seen, felt, and known. So I've curated 6 snippets from the 6 different days, and if you would love to join, you most certainly can, and you will be emailed all of the replays, which are 9 days of feminine energy exploration. And you can find out more at julietenner.love/scene. And I hope you get something really nourishing and beautiful and a little one thing to tuck away and carry forwards with you from this podcast. Thanks for listening.
We could also look at this in terms of masculine femme or masculine and feminine. I will actually just quickly give you a note on the words. If you've been in my spaces for a while, you'll be very comfortable and familiar with this, so I will make it brief. I don't herald that we need to stick to masculine and feminine, and I do believe that those words can be harmful for some people. So let go of the words masculine and feminine. If that does not feel aligned for you, it makes no difference what word you use. What I'm asking you to do is find something that you can identify with that feels super meaningful, that describes a way of being that is in your masc and a way of being that is in your femme. So I use masc and femme because that is what I identify with. Masculine and feminine have too much, they're colonialized language, and they have too many overlays and attachments of harm and suppression. So for me, identifying as a queer and polyamorous human in a heterosexual 20-year-long relationship, masc and femme feel better. So I use that. My husband can't identify with masc and femme, so he uses giver and receiver. So if I'm talking to him about these aspects of self, I'll use his language. I've had plenty of people and couples in my spaces that use all sorts of things. Top and bottom, ocean and rock, yin and yang, masc and femme, it doesn't matter. So for the purpose of here, I'm using language that everybody has an awareness of at the moment, which is masculine and feminine. But please know that I will be interchanging those with starting to alter the language that perhaps you are used to or comfortable with. All right. So why do I always want to have a foot in my own camp? I always want to have a foot in knowing where I'm at, because that is actually what keeps me safe. Can I just surrender open and trust open to the world if I'm not in touch with where I'm at in my body? No. Is the entire of the world safe? Is all of the humans that I'm around safe? No. So when we come to talking about and throwing around language such as surrender and trust open, I want you to be more skillful and discerning than picking up on language that doesn't have an underpinning of depth. And I see that happen too much, particularly in tantric spaces. So to be able to surrender, to be able to trust, to be able to let go, does not actually require someone outside of you or the moment being trustable and safe, because you can't know that for sure. What it requires is that I can trust me, I can trust my body. I am well practiced at being able to receive what my body is telling me, because the body doesn't lie. And I can interpret those signals, and I can then maneuver myself to keep myself safe. I've been asked many times with children and sexuality, particularly for our daughters, is, what do you need to teach them so they stay safe? You need to teach them connection with their body. Because it is in listening to this and not overriding it, not coercing it, not switching it off entirely in favor of this, that keeps them safe. When their body says go left instead of right, when they go, ooh, this person's not okay, and this person feels all right, because they are practiced at returning and reorienting to their body. It is still the same for us as adults walking around the world. We have to be able to trust ourselves so that we're able to create a safety net to kind of free fall into when we're trusting another. Right? And all the femme in all of us wants is to know that when we let go, someone else has got us. So there's a whole lot of steps we do in creating safety in order to be able to do that. But step one is here, having a foot in knowing where I'm at so that I can trust myself, right? You can't let go in sexuality, in orgasms, in relationship, in life, unless you are practiced at trusting this, okay? So I want you to always remember that no one opens you. You trust you enough to know I've got me and I can open. Yeah, this person, this space, this environment might set up some beautiful structures in which that is more easeful for you to do. But someone else does not open you. We come from generations and lineages of women who lived in patriarchal societies that required that the majority of her focus be devoted to how appealing she is, how beautiful she is, how tidy, how kempt, how put together. What a prize. Sometimes how that beauty could get you into trouble. And beauty is unsafe. Sometimes how we've learned how to hide our beauty because we can be beautiful, but not too beautiful, because then what happens? People pervert that beauty. They grab at it in ways that you're unprepared and feel unsafe for. Perhaps you're judged or lose friends as women are pitted against women as a way to separate us from community, because it's in community when women gather together that they raise consciousness and they raise power together. So if we isolate women, if we keep you so incredibly focused on body fat and about whether you're fitting in or not, then maybe you'll be less focused about the powerful change that you can create in the world. A wonderful system. So much wounding around beauty. But what I find fascinating about beauty is that what we, and then of course we have male gaze, which I didn't say at the end there. So male gaze still perpetuates how we see ourselves, because art culture, media, pornography, and the flow and effect into the cultures that we live on all look at women through a male gaze, which is very different to a female gaze. So we have this tenuous relationship with our beauty often, and it's worth just taking a minute to look at it. When I think about beauty, I think about it being a gift of the goddess, and that beauty is infinite. It is not a learned set of rules in this finite slither that is dictated by time and culture, because we all know that slither of what is beautiful has changed over centuries. It's changed nearly every decade. So what actually is beautiful? If it was this and now it's that and now it's this and now it's that, like it's not, we have to see the system as learned as opposed to what it is. Beauty is infinite. Everything is beautiful. You can find beauty in absolutely everything. Because there's a sunrise, does it mean that the sunset is less beautiful? Because there's a mountain, does it mean that the ocean is less beautiful? Because I have a pink flower and I have a red flower, is one more beautiful than the other? No, they're just beautiful. Then the second part to being heart-led that I want to take a moment on, which is often the part that I just want to skip over, and I see so many women wanting to like zoom right over, and often what creates our desire to be self-sufficient and meet our own needs, or to step forwards first before anyone else has an opportunity to even enter that space, is the waiting. In tantric language, we would call that waiting open. It is fucking torture. I think we have this perception that we enter our feminine and we're so magnetic and it all just feels incredible. But the truth is, it is a spiritual practice to be in the waiting and find enjoyment, like finding beauty, find enjoyment in the yearning. The not yet having, in the waiting, knowing it's coming. So being with our heart and its yearning, what it's asking from our world, from us, from our reality, can be incredibly hard because we don't yet have the thing. So there's this sense of not quite feeling satisfied yet. As opposed to that instant gratification, I want it, I buy it, I get it, I live it, and then I'm done and I'm on to the next thing. I want it, I buy it, I get it. And so we have this way of moving through the world that's very about I want, I get. We've lost the art of what it is to macerate and find enjoyment in the waiting and in the wanting. And instead of trying to eliminate that wanting through grabbing, satiating, filling, instantly gorging on that thing, human, food, whatever it is, orgasm, and eliminating the tension from your body because like, oh, I want it. Now I don't have to feel intention anymore. That's the masculine. Versus the feminine that's like, oh, hello, energy. Oh, more energy. What happens when I spread it and it goes further, right? The wanting and the building of desire is the juice of life. The other reason it's really hard is because when we feel desire for something, and that can be read as jealousy or, as that like pout that I don't have that experience from my partner or my life right now, often what can happen is that we are trying in this work to focus on being an energetic match for the reality that we have. But when we see the thing we don't have, we're actually focused on the not having it. So our energy and attention is focused on the missing piece. It's focused on what I don't have right now. And the law of attraction doesn't pick and choose. It's not like the law of attraction only works when it's good things and doesn't work when it's bad things. The law of attraction is fairly neutral. It just mirrors back and gives you whatever you want. And it thinks what you want is what you're focused on. And what you're focused on right now is the fact that you don't have the thing.
This episode is brought to you by our current offerings we have out in the world. So for me, Bridget, it is Disrupt, Revealing the Mother Wound. So it is a beautiful container of women coming together to transform the imprints that we have and carry around our own mother and the broader motherhood as a social construct, so that we have a lot more agency and free will in how we show up as mothers. So find out more at bridgetwood.life.
And if you would love to dive into opening your feminine energy, then I have a beautiful 9 days of super simple shifts to change your life and your relationship to your own femme or feminine energy. Starting August 10, it's 9 days, 9 lives, which you can join live or catch the replays of. And it's called Seen, Felt, Known, Feminine Energy 101. And you can find out more at julietenner.love/seen.
Just like beauty, it is an amplification of the message or the energy or whatever you want it to be, right? And we know this because we can put on a particular banging outfit and we feel amplified, and the way that we enter that dinner, that party, that wedding is amplified, right? We can feel sexy and saucy, and then we put on that thing and we feel even sexier and saucier. Or we can put on that thing and we can completely dull or dim the light, feel invisible, dowdy, unseen, and undesired. Both just tell you there's a dial. And the feminine within all of us is exquisitely sensitive to that nuance that a masculine being is not. Right? You could sit there at your wardrobe going, oh, I have nothing to wear. And your masculine partner's like, you have an entire wardrobe. Just pick one thing. And you're like, it's nothing. Just pick this one. And the difference between that pair of shoes or that top and that is the difference between an ecstatically magnetic day where I'm vibing it and feeling amazing, and a day where I feel out of alignment and grumpy and like, bit gross. Right? Like, it's so nuanced and subtle. And for a masculine man, like, I give no shits. Like, give me, I would rather not even have to choose. Just give me black jeans, black top, black shoes. We're good every day. Whereas for the feminine, that's like, death. Are you kidding? I don't get to choose. Right? So, what I want you to understand is that when we groom ourselves differently, when we adorn this temple, this altar, this space, when we change how we adorn it, dress it, the colours, the textures, the scents, just like a house, a room, an art gallery, a garden, a temple, an altar of worship, you are just such one of those things. We know that the feminine hangs out in places of abundance. The more beautiful and the more abundant they are, the more they call in beauty and abundance. It's the law of attraction. We inherit. Why do you think that our churches and our spaces of spiritual worship are gold covered? Because when there's shine and gold, you feel like you've touched a piece of God or goddess, right? You wear shimmery, shiny gold things, says me, and you remember that you're shimmering and shining. When we enter spaces of beauty, we are transported and changed. And that's exactly what you're doing to this altar. So when we groom ourselves differently, our entire reality changes, because we're changing the attachment or the meaning to our day and what we perceive reality to be, because reality hasn't really changed, and yet our day can change based on that pair of shoes or that. The world is still as it is, but our perception of it changes based on how we feel. We are taught so thoroughly to orient away from the body and to shut down and switch off and practice not feeling constantly. It means that often we don't have subtlety for sensation. We're not able to be sensitive in what we're able to know, receive from the body. So sensuality is not anything to do with sex. And often sexuality and sensuality get kind of lumped together in the same sentence. And they're completely different. Can sensuality expand your experience of sex and sexuality? Yeah, absolutely it can, but they are separate experiences. And what I want you to do is get out of your head and into your body, where you can begin to intentionally live in this body and make more of your life oriented towards sensuality. So how can I walk through my day and live my life more connected, more oriented around the experience of sensuality? So what does sensuality actually mean? What it means is our five senses. You might include the sixth. I certainly would. But let's just talk about the human body first and what it's able to conduct and know. Remember, it's like that crystal that can absorb in, do something with it, and transmit a signal out. That's what sensuality is. It's a way to feel, know, and experience the world and decide what you want to do with that energy, because, again, it turns the dial up. So we have our five senses. How can you feed your sensuality? Because the more that you feed your sensuality, the more you turn your dial up on feeling, the more you turn your dial up on the feminine. The feminine is feeling and is sensitivity and is subtlety. It's turning the dial up. This feels good. How does it feel even better? Oh, I'm feeling. How can I feel more? This dial up, same as we did with Adornment. There's things we put on that brighten our light, and there's things we put on that dull our light. Same thing with sensuality. We can sensitize and orient towards sensuality and turn our light and our dial up, and we can orient away from the body, feel less and numb out, and we can turn our dial down. Same thing. The feminine is all energy. And what is energy? Energy is what we hear, right? They're wavelengths. Energy is what we feel and touch and taste and sense and know and smell. They're all energetic wavelengths, right? It's energy communicating with energy. And when they've come together and they vibrate, they do something different, something new is born. That is, in essence, the feminine. So why is movement important? Because just like day one, it brings fluidity and relaxation. So the masculine mastery is in stillness and firmness, the mountain, which is why I called it the mountain in my book, immovable by currents. It is rooted, it is grounded, it always was, it always will be. It's unchanging. It is presence, solid as a rock, boom, not moved. The feminine is all of the currents of movement, everything that changes and flux and flourishes, and, it's all of life. It's the weather patterns, it's feeling, it's sensation, it's sensuality, it's fluidity and movement. The dancers, actresses, and sex workers that get paid the most are the ones that can move in such a way that they can convey a feeling, and in response to you witnessing that movement, you are moved. So the feminine principle within all of us requires movement in order to feel connected and alive and let muscles ripple and show the effect of whatever it is it's feeling, as opposed to the mountain that can seize it all up and close it all up, and it's the still pond and you have no idea what's happening underneath that glass surface. The feminine is very transparent in what I feel is what I am, is what you can see and touch and feel and know, and there's a sense of truth and safety in that. So movement can also be part of creating the art of invitation. So being a magnetic match to drawing towards you, being the beacon of desire or energy that gets noticed, the space that someone feels relaxed around. If your body is relaxed, people feel relaxed around you. If your body is tight and in tension and walled up, people feel tight in tension and walled up around you. Our bodies communicate stronger than our words. So always being aware, this is why we have a foot in our camp, always so that we know where we're at. And then the next step from there is to focus on what we call the feminine pole. So this is the part of you that penetrates into the world. It's the part that has the biggest magnetic current for a feminine being. And focusing on this whole area. So throat, décolletage, breasts, nipples, bottom of the rib cage, this whole area like a beautiful bright light balloon. And just bring your internal feeling or your internal awareness to all of those structures. Can I take a breath and feel the outline of my breasts? Can I take a breath and feel my nipples? Can I take a breath and feel my décolletage? Breath, feeling, just spending a minute or two breathing into this part of your existence, this part of your physicality. How much of it can I feel? And on the out breath, sighing it out. Just spend a minute. Feel my breasts. Feel my nipples. Can I feel the air around them? Same as I did with my heart. I felt my heart and then I felt the space around my heart. Can I feel my breasts? And can I feel the meeting point of the air around my breasts? Can I think about what I love? We're talking about our environment, seeing beauty, feeling beauty, adornment, knowing the light and the love that I am, what I love, what opens my heart. Can I feel that grace in my heart?
So I hope you enjoyed that little exploration into feminine energy and what it's like and how it might apply to you and what you might like to consider in terms of flowing more and incorporating more relaxation into your physical body, mind and heart, into what it is to explore your own sense of beauty as a blessing and adornment as a way of turning up your dial or down your light. Exploring what it is to be heart-led, to be sensual and explore your sensuality and your movement. And there's more coming up in the next few days. So if you would love to have all of that and more emailed to you, you can find out more at julietenner.love/scene. You can connect with Bridget at bridgetwood.life. Remember to nourish the woman, to rock the family. And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.